The QR code that people have holds a lot more information on them than they may think. Okay, this is Canada's QR code, but many countries have a similar thing. Look at all the information it has on you. Religion, organ donor, driver's license, marital status, non-essential access, reserved for future use. So that's a thing that they're going to have more info in the future. Allergies, smoker. Are you a firearms owner? Are you a restricted firearms owner? Do you have any warrants? And then look at this. What's your credit score? How many accounts do you have? How much do you owe? What did you make this year? What did you make last year? This is how much information that QR code will have. This will be the social credit system on, if not a carbon copy of it.
Remember when I read to you on the air some of the writings of Karl Marx? That was several years ago, I know, but most of this audience has been with me for a lot longer than that. Remember we read the writings of Marx? And he said, do anything to destroy the target nation in order that socialism may prevail, will win the battle, will come out on top, will eventually control the world. And the ultimate goal of socialism is, of course, communism, according to Marx and Lenin and Stalin and Castro and Mao. There's no doubt about any of it. The Soviet Union perfected a system called psychopolitics. And we did some broadcasts on that. We also touched on it when we read New Lies for Old and talked about that on the air. And a lot of other things. We talked about psychopolitics. Nobody ever heard of it until Lavrentiy Beria, who was the head of the secret police in Russia, the NKVD as it was called then, and it was the whole Soviet Union. What the whole gist of it was to turn everything upside down. Make things that had traditionally been accepted in our culture and in our society as the very best things seem to be the very worst. To use our own laws and our own constitution and our own courts against us, which has certainly been done quite a bit, through interpretation and twisting of the meaning, through the changing of the meaning of words, through the demonization of groups of people such as American patriots.
The thing to have is a Black's Law dictionary. It's about this thick. This is the dictionary that the lawyers use, and it has legal definitions of words in it. And when you use it to look up words, you find out really interesting stuff. Person. The word person. The definition of person is a corporate fiction. Black's Law also tells us that the only person known to Canadian law is the corporation. And that's interesting. Human is another interesting word. It appears nowhere in the Bible, but you look up the definition of human in Black's Law, and it says sea monster. And so you flip to monster, and you look up the definition for monster, and it says one that cannot own or inherit property.
Fact anyway. And the Grand Druids, although they're just supposedly everyday people like me, you look at me now, I'm this way. I was a different way when I was in witchcraft. And part of my authority was whatever governors, senators, or political people were in my area took direct political orders from me, which I in turn did not think of, but simply translated to them from the orders that we got from London. From the Rothschild family. Now that's the Council of 13. And for 6 months, my foster mother taught me something that your pastor is very familiar with, the political situation of the occult. And all of a sudden I realized that witchcraft wasn't just spell casting, it had a purpose in mind. And that's when I started getting a little afraid, because when I was 10, as I said, I learned a little about the Bible. It just happened to be all revelations that I learned. And all of a sudden we were discussing a world ruler that would be personally guided by Lucifer, that could gain control of the world supernaturally and take control of people's minds. Of course, they didn't say there was a defense against this. The way they spoke, everybody was affected. They didn't say anything about the blood of Jesus. But we sat there, and for 6 months I learned the political structure and the history of witchcraft. And then I was taken to Colorado, and I was placed through an initiation into the sixth realm. And this initiation consisted of a blood sacrifice. And from then on, I was given the territory of 13 states. This didn't happen to be one of them. This belonged to my foster mother. But I was in charge of all the occult, political, and drug activity in 13 states. And this is where I was in 1972 when I met the Lord. Well, I, at first, for many years, said by accident, but I've come to realize there's no such thing as an accident when it comes to Jesus. He had everything perfectly planned out. If you're wondering why I'm still alive, it isn't easy. I've got the bullet holes in the buildings and the bombed out buildings and everything else, the record, and I stand that Jesus kept us alive in every situation. You don't walk into a building as it blows up in your face and walk back out without a scratch on you unless the Lord is there to protect you.